Been at every meeting. I mean, she's pretty well updated. Probably not exposed much.
Yeah.
I guess for like paper applications.
All right, so this meeting is called to order. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with Section 1983 and 1984 of the Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of the subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call will show that all board members are present. We're just looking at except for President Walter, who said he was maybe going to join online, but does not appear to be online yet. So with that, first order of business before the pledge will be a chair pro tem. We would look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint trustee Baum, chair pro tem.
Second.
I have my hand ready.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor?
No, I don't have it.
Opposed? Over to you.
That's why I talk so fast.
All right, that brings us to Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That brings us to President's Report. The only thing that I have to report tonight is I'd like to say thank you to our leaving trustee, Bill Nyreither. This will be his final meeting of his tenure. Thank you for your service to the village. We look forward to you visiting us quite soon.
You're welcome. I appreciate those comments, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is appointments of board committees, commission members, appointments in terms of appointment term spreadsheet. First thing on the agenda, there's a new assignment for everybody. It is in the packet. Need a motion to.
I'll move approval of the appointment spreadsheet as presented.
Second,
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, trustee Kaminsky, trustee Miller, Jan Miller.
I'm Jan Miller. Thank you. Not all of the committees are on here. Will there be more coming?
There will. These only reflect the ones that Dean or President Walter, I should say, had ready to go for this meeting. The rest will follow presumably at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to announcements of forthcoming events and public interest committee and department reports. We'll start with trustee Kaminsky.
Public Works will meet in this room at 5:30 on Wednesday, May 1st.
Rick Miller?
General Government and Finance will meet on Monday, May 20th in this room at 5:30.
Trustee Pieper?
The economic.
22nd.
22nd.
In this room at, it is.
6:30. Yes. Trustee Hudson?
I have two. First one is Public Safety will meet in this room at 6 PM on May 6th. And the second one is I'd like to invite the public to come to Fireman's Park on April 25th at 4:30 PM for a reading of the proclamation for Arbor Day by President Walter. There will be a tree planted by Wendland Nursery and the MacArthur Elementary Kids Club.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trustee Jan Miller?
I would like to make an announcement. We hope that you will join us this week for the Germantown Area Chamber of Commerce ribbon cutting and open house. They have recently moved from the basement of the what bank? Chase, thank you. And it is hosted by the Chamber of Board of Directors. It's Wednesday, April 17th at 9:30 a.m. If you can't make the actual 9:30 a.m. ribbon cutting, you are welcome all day through 4 o'clock. It's an open house. So we hope you can join us. It's a great spot to be in. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Nyreither or Warren? Warren? Nothing? Okay. There is a joint committee, Plan Commission, along with the Economic Development Committee this coming Monday, the 22nd at 6:30, just to reiterate the Plan Commission on that one. Next item, item number 7, citizen input. Please be advised per 19.84 parent 2 that information and comment will be received from the public. It is the policy of this municipality that public input be limited to a 3-minute period per person with a time extension granted at the discretion of the chairperson. Be advised there may be limited discussion on information received, but no action will be taken under public comment. Is there anybody wishing to come forward for citizen input? please step up to the mic, and if you have your yellow form filled out, greatly appreciated. And we'll hand it down. Please state your name and address for the audience. When you get to there, into the microphone.
Thank you. Lynn Shower Bednars, 10121 Pawnee Court, Germantown, Wisconsin. As you know, I've been coming here lately and I'm very upset. I'm here for one reason, okay, and that's the taxpayers of Germantown, Wisconsin, including you and me. And what I don't like and I don't think is right, we have a budget. It's not an open credit account for the board, okay, that you can just do what you want. I hear very little no's. Every time the conservative board members ask for a check on cost, you amend it down and it's not even talked about. This is ridiculous. This is my money and everybody's money. And we have a right as citizens to know what the heck you're doing with our money before you start spending it. Government is of the people, not the board. By the people, not the board. For the people, not to please the board, okay? And this is a democracy and it needs to utilize resources, which is our budget, and be responsible, or you're going to erode public trust. And I'm hearing a lot of it. And government is to act for the people's good, not for the power of the people that are in charge of our budget. That's the board, okay? And I don't hear a lot of no's on things going on here. And what really got me a little upset, you're looking at a property called the Grosnick property. I called some realtors this week, some big ones that have been around. You know what they call that property? A dud property. It's in a bad area. It has no popular opinion. 2 businesses started, they're already folding up. And I don't know what's going on with that property. You're not telling the citizens a thing. We have a right to know before you even make a decision to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. We have a right to be heard as a community. And you're robbing us of a right to be heard. And before discussions are made that affect our taxes and future of our kids, the people are the masters of the Congress and the court, not to overthrow the law, but they can stop people who are perverting it. And I'll tell you what, this is getting ridiculous when I listen to what's going on. Only few members of this board offer amendments and they're shut down each time they want to check on cost of what's going on. That's our right. They're working for us to know that. And these closed sessions, I read the law this week up and down. Closed sessions are not to make plans. You are not including the public in any of those plans. I would like to extend this 1 minute to finish what I have to say, because this is ridiculous. And this project should be shelved. I drove around Fond du Lac too and looked at that property. I have some interest over there that I'm spending money on, and it's not right. You need to engage citizens. You need to input throughout any planning process. You need to feedback channels online, public hearings, open houses, citizen academies, focus discussions and sessions, and press releases before you start spending all this money on things. And a lot of negatives were brought up, and all of you, nobody questions it. I don't understand this. I've had neighbors that say since we've had this board, whoever heads it in the last, I have only been to these meetings, that they're very nervous about it. And I really would hope that you would wake up and start questioning what's going on. One person doesn't control what goes on in this village, not one. It's all of you. You were voted in to be for our benefit, not for what you think somebody else in this committee wants. Start looking at what something costs for a change and what it's going to cost us, or we're not going to be able to afford to live here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else wishing to come forward for citizen input?
Good evening. Melanie Smythe, N140W17938 Cedar Lane. I just have a couple of comments based on some things that occurred earlier this evening. First of all, on the website reorganization, it would be nice if there was, when you do that, that you set up a section for TIDS, because it's very difficult finding information. You have to hunt and peck in the search feature. And it would be nice to have included in there the 30% payment audits that have to happen when 30% of the TID expenditures have occurred. It would be nice to have all the project plans and also the per resident tax effects of the project plan if there's additional borrowing, and any maps. So I'm just asking that that be a consideration.
It's already there.
As a TID section with all of those items,
Section.
it's not all those things are in there. I appreciate the work that's happening with the audit 2023 efforts on the finances, and I'm happy to hear from GGF that contracts are being brought forward as a result of the Tyler Munis. And I expect that will help when we do an actual true zero-based budget process this year. So I'm looking forward to hearing about within the next month or so what the surplus may or may not be. An issue on the committees, there's only a partial list, as we heard earlier, but there are several that are not have not fully been appointed with people, tourism, ethics, and a few others. There's also a conflict of interest on the Economic Development Committee and the Joint Review Board, where the individual who's the citizen is also involved with a large tract of land at the Blackstone Creek Golf Course, and his business is multifamily housing. So I don't know if that's been brought forward to anyone's attention, but it's definitely a concern for anyone that's voting on the TIDS. The other thing about the committees is that not all the processes follow what's in the Muni Code, and so just rules are kind of suggestions. That's wrong. I'm also against extending the TIDS, especially in light of the surprise $500,000 road project that popped up this past week, which was discussed at the GGF today. I don't think we have a cushion of money based on the fact that we spent $3 million out of the general, not the general fund, the reserves last year, and various other things that are going on. It seems like there may be other expenditures that come up. The last thing I'd like to say is thank you, Bill Nyrider. You have been my trustee for the last several years. You always listened. I appreciate it. You may not have agreed with me, but you did your best to find out information that I felt was important. So appreciate it. Go along, live prosperous and happily. Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to come forward for public comment? I can give it to her.
Good evening, Scott Heffley, W159 N10514 Old Farm Road. One thing from the past, other things. I've tried to bring some things from the past lately. Safe Built, I know Mr. Retzloff was going to try to renegotiate, giving us a higher percentage to the village, which is revenues. We can use revenues for the increasing taxes we have. I wonder what the status would be. If someone could check on that, I'd appreciate it. That interesting thing with well 12 with the biofilm, again, it would have been interesting if we would have built in some contingency above and beyond the cost when we negotiate with Richfield, 5 or 10% to cover such things. If there's a situation going on related to things that affect our ability to provide them water, would have been nice if we had built that in. We didn't, so it's water over the dam, so to speak. But hopefully we look at that as we do with other projects like DPW to build in a reserve in case something happens unexpected. The TID amendments 7 and 8, I'll throw my feelings aside on that. My only concern as a resident is we're closing it early even if we extend it by 2 years. So I don't know what stops the village from continuing to use this over and over again. Just say, well, we'll extend another 2 years, another 8 million. 2 million, do it again, another 2 million. It's still closing early. Don't worry about it. Well, I am worried about it because that borrowing does push out funds for the schools and other things. So it kind of looks like a slush fund to me. But the borrowing authorization, I get that. We've been borrowing every year. It's $2.5, $3 million. We do it. I think if we had a true zero-based budget, we wouldn't have to keep borrowing 3 million like clockwork. Maybe, just every department critical, nice to have, only if we have a surplus or whatever. Go 1, 2, 3, like in the private sector. Country Bell Manor, I'd like to thank Trustee Hudson. It came up last week, 50% cost share, and Phil tried to get 100%. The motion failed. I think those people deserve that, because what happened is we had someone sign off on it who wasn't an engineer with the blessing of the board, and it got screwed up. Okay, you can go back and look. It's okay. So anyways, as far as the audit goes, I'm looking forward to, I hope it's done June 30th, so you can have plenty of time to think about how we're going to match up a budget, which, by the way, is tight, and it's going to get tighter by the year. And I know earlier something failed to pay for Washington County, the EDWC subscription, which is what, $10,500 some dollars. Maybe we could put it back to the budgets that we cut, since we have that money to work with, and let them use the unused credits through the rest of the year. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to come forward for public comment? Is there anybody on WebEx?
There are people on WebEx, but no one has a hand raised for public comment.
Okay, and President Walter has joined via WebEx, so I'm sure he'll be chiming in at some point. All right, seeing nobody else for citizen input, we will move to consent agenda. Board.
Move approval of consent agenda items A through M.
Second.
We have a motion from Rick Miller and a second from Phil Hudson. Any comment? Trustee Jan Miller.
I would like to pull H as in Henry, K as in kite, L as in Larry, please. I have a question.
A and L. Is there any further?
HK.
That's what I said. H,
Okay.
K, and L.
Thank you.
And L.
And L.
Being no further discussion, we will have a vote, roll call vote for items A through G, I, J, and M. Good. That's it.
Trustee Warren,
Aye.
trustee Nyrather, trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
trustee Hudson,
Aye.
trustee Pieper,
Aye.
trustee Rick Miller,
Aye.
trustee Kaminsky, trustee Baum,
Aye.
President Walter.
Aye.
It's unanimous, motion carries. We can go to H, K, or L. Trustee Jan Miller,
H, please.
item number H. What would you like to discuss?
Thanks. A couple of questions. I just want to clarify. There were two numbers on the request, and one was for 30,000 and one was for 35. Did you actually want the 35,000?
No, it was a clerical mistake. The actual request is 30,000, not to exceed 30,000.
Okay.
The quote that was in the packet added up to 28,000 some dollars.
Okay.
But there's just an opportunity for a little overage there. So 30,000 is what the request is.
Okay. And is that out of the budget this year? And do you have an account number?
I don't have the account number in front of me, but it's
It's
using TID funding
Oh,
along with
okay.
the construction of the well. So this is related to well 12 construction.
Okay, and well 12 is the newest well that's for the IGA, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not technically for the IGA, but it will, probably tangentially serve a portion of that area.
It is the well out by Foley Hill Road.
Right.
All the wells are tied together. So
Correct.
every well is feeding the IGA.
And is there any concern about the quality of the water?
No, this is a condition that comes up and we treat our other wells for the same thing.
Oh, okay.
We're doing other rehabs right now. It just, happened because the well was constructed, drilled, and then was unused for a period of a couple of years. And this condition developed. So we need to go in and kind of mechanically clean the well to get a good look at what's going on, to properly scope the treatment services. And
Gotcha.
that's what the request is.
Good. Thank you very much. I'd like to make a motion. Award contract to CTW Wells and Pumps in the amount not to exceed 30,000 for well cleaning and testing services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Nyberger.
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Hudson.
Aye.
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 President Walter.
Aye.
All right. That's motion carries unanimous. We can go on to
K.
K or L.
Okay.
Trustee Jan Miller.
Okay. Matt, maybe you can answer this. This is a blanket purchase order for more water meters. And a couple of years ago, we had like 1,200 water meters installed. Where are we at? I mean, are these just, is it just a fund for water meters that fail, or are we going to go out and install another 1,000?
Yeah, it's for replacements and repairs as needed. So it's not to exceed that amount.
Okay.
It's possible and likely that we won't use that entire amount. But it's just having the contract mechanism in place to go and buy the meters when we need them.
Okay. All right. I'm fine with that. I'd like to make a motion for the blanket purchase order of up to 30,000 for the Metron Farner of Boulder, Colorado for new water meters, ongoing replacements, cell heads, and the purchase of commercial water meters.
The motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Jan Miller, seconded by trustee Rick Miller. We'll do a roll call vote because it's fine.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Nyberger.
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Hudson.
Aye.
Trustee Pieper.
Aye.
Trustee Rick Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky. Trustee Baum.
Aye.
President Walter.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Takes us to item L.
Okay, my question is, Matt, we're awarding the seal coating for about, I'm gonna round it up, 250,000. How do we go, how does it proceed, and how do we give notice to the residents? Do we have a little map on the website? Do we send them letters? What are we doing?
Both. So there's currently a map on the website. If you go to the website and to the engineering department, you'll see the road program and the seal coating program. And if you click on that link, there'll be a map that shows you which roads that we plan to do for each of those programs. Once we have the finalized contract document, then we will be sending out letters to residents that are affected by both of those programs, actually, to let them know kind of what to expect in terms of timing, in terms of access to their property, and that sort of thing.
Okay, I wanted to make sure there was going to be some notice.
Yep.
Great. I'm okay with that. So I'd like to make a motion, award the contract for 2024 seal coating program to Farner Asphalt Sealers LLC of Waunakee, Wisconsin in the amount of $249,470.40.
Second, and I have a comment.
We have a motion by trustee Jan Miller, a second by Bob Warren. Discussion, trustee Warren.
Just for your information, Jan,
Yeah.
trustee Miller.
Yeah.
The Public Works Department also had a public information meeting on. was
Yeah, I
that-
missed it.
What day was that? Thursday?
Last Thursday. Yeah.
And the road program and the seal coat program was discussed at that. So whoever attended that or watched it on the website, it's recorded. All that information was also there also. So just emphasizing that we reached out on another venue also for that.
Yeah, and I'm working with Erin on getting that presentation and the slides from that presentation on the website. And
That'd be
I
great.
believe she's shared a link via Facebook from that meeting as well. So trying
Okay.
multiple ways to get information out to folks.
Unfortunately, I missed that, but thanks. Yeah, great.
Any further discussion? Do a roll call vote?
Trustee Warren. Trustee Nyrather.
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Hudson. Trustee Pieper.
Aye.
Trustee Rick Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky. Trustee Baum.
Aye.
President Walter.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. There is no unfinished business. There are no public hearings this evening. That will bring us to new business item A, proposed amendment of the project plan for tax incremental district number 7 and proposed amendment of the project plan for tax incremental district number 8, followed by consideration and possible action on the resolution approving an amendment to the project plan of TID number 7 and consideration and possible action on a resolution approving an amendment to project plan of TID number 8. With us tonight is our advisor, Phil Cosson. Phil.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Nice to be with you again tonight. We, in your packet, have the full project plan, and we've created a shorter PowerPoint to try to expedite some of the initial thoughts and questions that may come up, to summarize essentially the project plan. But again, if you have questions within the project plan, I'm more than happy to go through that in more detail with you as well. So I'll go through initially the PowerPoint, and then we can circle back and see if there are other questions that may come forward as it pertains to the rest of the plan. So I'm going to start by just giving you maybe a little refresher on the amendment process. It's a little bit different than when you create a new district. Since this is a project amendment versus a boundary amendment, the law changes a little bit. So, but we still need the same approvals as you would if you do any type of amendment and or creation. So last week, Monday, we had the initial meeting of the Joint Review Board. And again, that's informational for them at that point. They are not making any decisions, but it was just informational. So we went through the same information with them at that meeting. We also then held a public hearing, Plan Commission, and there was I would say there were questions from every Plan Commission member as it pertained to the two different TID amendments. We had some public comment as well, and after the public comment and the public hearing closed, the resolutions were passed to bring it forward to the village board for tonight, for your consideration tonight and potential approval. We do have a final joint review board date scheduled for May 6th at 5 p.m. If there would be no decision tonight, and or if you ask them to come back with additional information, we can move that meeting. But that meeting was scheduled based on the current schedule that we have. If it's approved by all three bodies, then it'll be submitted to the Department of Revenue sometime summer, fall of 2024. And like any TID plan that they review, it's more of a technical review. They're looking at things like, did you hold a public hearing? Did you have the proper notices? Does the project plan include an opinion letter from the village's attorney? Those kind of things. So they're looking at it from a technical standpoint rather than diving into the numbers. So those are the steps involved in going through this amendment. As a refresher, this is the map for tax increment district number 7. In the kind of southeast portion of this map, lower right-hand corner. In the dark shaded, that's the area that was originally the TID boundary that was created for J.W. Speaker. When J.W. Speaker was going through and doing one amendment and proposed a second amendment. And then a couple of years ago, TID 7 was, the boundaries were amended to pick up the areas that are identified to the kind of north and west portion of this parcel area. And that was for the Capstone Quadrangle development that is ongoing along Holy Hill Road and the south side of Holy Hill Road. So that's the existing boundaries. This amendment would not change the boundaries at all. We're not looking to amend the boundaries of this district. They'll remain exactly as they are currently. So those are the current boundaries that will remain in effect. So why are we going through this? I'll give you a little quick summary of, I've talked about a few of these already, and then we'll talk about why we're going through this amendment. This is a industrial district, TID 7. So as a result, it has the ability to stay open for up to 20 years. That's the maximum life. Again, it was created back in 2017 to assist JW Speaker with their expansion. 21 was the amendment to the boundaries and to the projects at that point for the Capstone project. And the original TID boundaries was 160 acres. With the expansion through the amendment, it increased to 331 acre total site. This amendment would add approximately $1,870,000 in project costs, all of which are within, sorry, I shouldn't say within 1/2 mile of the TID boundary. So these, I'll go into the projects in more detail in a little bit, but again, we're adding project costs, not amending the boundaries. Our analysis of adding the $1,870,000 in project costs is reflected on the last line here. This amendment is projected to keep the TID open for up to 2 additional years, yet it will still close, projected to close earlier than that allowed 20-year life. So what are the projects that are being contemplated? In the project plan, this list, it comes directly out of the actual project plan. You can see the list of projects as they've been identified. So Freistadt Road, the 3, 1, 2, and 3 are the 3 different elements of Freistadt Road. The first is High Point Pass to Interstate 41, road reconstruction, $930,000 projected cost. The Freistadt Road High Point Pass to Interstate 41, the sewer cost being $600,000, and then the water cost of $330,000. Those are the real elements that are being added to the project plan for TID number 7. There are some administrative costs and fees that are associated with going through the amendment that have been added to this as well. This page really shows the location of the different amendments, the location of the projects. And again, the key here is that they have to be within 1/2 mile of the original bound or the existing boundaries of the tax increment district to be eligible to be able to be paid for out of the TID fund. If they're outside of that, then we cannot pay for the projects outside the projects within the TID fund. So these all they're all within the TID fund because of the location. Some of the discussion that we had early on in this process was, do we amend the boundaries of tax increment district to try to pick up this area, and in doing so, potentially collecting additional increment, new taxes from growth that could happen in this area. It was a decision made by really village staff that they thought this would be best to keep untipped, if you will, meaning if development occurs here, it'll benefit all the taxing jurisdictions right away. It won't go into the TID fund. It'll go to benefit the village, county, school, and technical college immediately. So the decision was made not to include this area in the boundaries, but rather pick up the project costs as eligible costs as a way to kind of make sure that everybody sees some benefit right away from potential new development in this area. So we've put together, again, within the project plan, the financials. On this page, you'll see the development assumptions that have been updated. These came from the second amendment, or the first amendment we did, and then They've updated now for the second amendment. Right now, there's roughly $23 million of incremental value in the tax increment district number 7 boundaries. Incremental value, again, is just increase in value of property and from new development that's occurred within tax increment district number 7. We also, come August of this year, when the Department of Revenue comes out with new valuations, we would expect to see about another 17 million in growth due to the capstone building number 2. That'll be wrapped up in 2024. Estimated value of that property or that development is 20 million. And then capstone building number 3 to be built in 24, another $20 million. So that we'll expect to see at roughly full build out. There's still some room at JW Speaker property and a few other properties within the boundaries. But right now, about $63 to $64 million of new taxable development within tax increment district number 7 that will be realized. I mentioned the fact that this would close out potentially early, even with these new projects. And I know there's a lot of numbers on this page, and I wasn't going to spend a lot of time walking through all the numbers because it's, there's existing debt in here and some future projected debt. But really what I wanted to focus on was the second column from the right. And the second column from the right, the goal here is to make sure that when we take on new capital expenditures within tax increment district number 7, we make sure that there is a positive fund balance in tax increment district number 7 to meet current obligations and future obligations. And so how we have at least tentatively structured this potential new projects of 1,870,000 in projects would make sure that there is still going to be a positive fund balance through the life of the district. And we're projecting a closeout occurring 3 years earlier than the maximum life. So as I indicated, these project costs will extend the life out 2 years. So this would have closed out potentially 2 years earlier than what we're reflecting here. With these projects, again, it'll still close out roughly 3 years earlier. Be happy to take questions on TID 7 now, or we can go through TID 8 and take questions on both. It's your call.
Board members, you have any questions? Trustee Jan Miller.
Thanks. Phil, could you explain the yellow highlighted in the third column from the left?
Yeah, I talked about this a little bit at this came up at Planning Commission public hearing as well, and that's the projected shortfall payment for JW Speaker. So back in 2017, when the district was created and project funds were expended for the JW Speaker expansion, there's an agreement in place that calls for them to make any shortfall payments in the debt service tied back to their project, not the overall TIF, but tied back to their project. So because they did not do the second expansion, we project that there is a shortfall payment. That's what I highlighted in the yellow. That would have to be made by JW Speaker due to the current contract you have with them. Now, I'm not privy to ongoing discussions with them, but that's how we ran the calculation.
So as I'm looking at it, this is money due to the Village of Germantown?
For the existing developers, those would be funds that would be due back to the village from JW Speaker.
So when they pay it, it will go into the TID.
Correct. It goes back into the TID fund to make a portion of the debt service payments that were taken out when they did their first expansion.
And the close date is actually without any other projects added to it. What's the date on it? Is the 2039? No.
2036. is the projected
2036. Okay.
closeout date.
Thank you.
On to number 8.
Okay. I'll go through the same process for TID number 8. Again, we're not looking at changing the boundaries. These are the original boundaries of Tax Increment District 8 when they were created. So again, no amendment to the boundaries being projected at this point. This was an industrial district created back in 2018, 225 acres. Meaning again, that we have at least 50% of the area that has to be zoned and suitable for industrial purposes and have to remain that way for the life of the district. This was really a partnership that occurred working with Zilber Development Group, Briggs and Stratton, when Briggs and Stratton did their initial expansion into that business park. This again, industrial district means it has a maximum of 20-year life. This is an amendment that would add almost $5 million in new project costs. That, and again, I'll walk through those project costs in a little bit. And again, like TID 7, these are all projects that are within a half mile of the boundaries of Tax Increment District number 8. This too would keep the district open for about 2 years, 2 additional years. And just kind of a note here that, TID 8 is overperformed financially, overperformed to the point where our projections show it's going to close out potentially very early. And again, I'll go through that in a little bit of detail as we go through this. The project costs that are being contemplated to be added to TID number 8 are identified on this page. Again, the first 5 areas. So in this case, we're talking Rockfield Road area, Goldendale to Gateway Road reconstruct, Rockfield Road, Goldendale to Gateway sewer, 880-540 for the water, Gateway crossing to I-41 sewer, $1,050,000, and then High Point Pass, Holy Hill Road to Railroad, road construction of a little over $1 million, and then some admin costs. So that's the breakdown of the projects that would be added and paid out of the TID 8 fund if they are included. Here are the project costs, location that have been identified on this map. Appreciate the help from the village and preparing these maps. It gives people a good idea of the location of where they're happening. So you can see again the location of the proposed improvements that are being contemplated as part of this amendment. So what's happening in TID 8 since the creation? Just want to maybe center you a little bit. When this district was created, I thought we were being pretty aggressive, and we had about $100 million of valuation that we're talking about with the village board at that point. So our expectation was at full build out, you would be around 100 million in value. 5 years, 4 construction years in, you're at $180 million of valuation out there. With more development coming online, Zilber Building 6 at 20 million, and then the Dickman Golden Pet Building at 8 million. We'll take this over $200 million of valuation. Again, much greater than was ever anticipated in this tax increment district, which obviously will lead to a much earlier closeout than was projected originally. This document, again, kind of hard to read here. If you look at the far right-hand columns, we are in a strong cash flow position in tax increment district number 8. Show that this district could close out really within about 12 to 13 years of its full 20-year life, if not even earlier. So due to the development and how quickly the development occurred out there and the valuations that were realized, this district is operating very strong, even taking on these projects. We expect this closeout to occur, less than half the life of the district, which is pretty unheard of when we look at large districts around the state. So That's a quick summary of TID number 8. Again, you have the full project plan in your packets, and I think we got the letter opinions today from the village attorney. Those are added on to an email that we sent this afternoon, so you should have those as part of your final project plan amendments as well. They're on the back page. And again, the village is, he can speak for himself, he's right here, but I'll speak for him for now. The review really is to make sure that all of the elements that are required by statute are incorporated into the project plan. So that's really the primary review that's done by the village attorney. And again, we've received those letter opinions earlier today.
Anything further? Anything, Phil? You're done? All right, board. Trustee Jan Miller.
Thanks, Phil. Could you give an estimated year, like you're saying half-life? It was started TID number 8. I'm referring to 2018. If it's a 20-year life, 10 years, 2028, is that what you were thinking? Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of assumptions through these,
Okay,
obviously,
right,
but yeah,
right.
we're looking at around a 10-year from the inception to what we're projecting right now, about a 10-year life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even with
With these projects.
these additional
Yeah,
projects,
correct.
we're still paying it off in half the time.
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, this is an industrial district, so it
Right.
could stay open for up to 20 years, and we're looking at about a 10-year, right now, about a 10-year payoff
Okay.
with these projects included.
Okay. So speaking of payoff, what would be the payout for the 4 taxing?
After this
Authorities.
closes, this TIF district is approximately paying out to the taxing bodies a total sum of estimated because it's all estimated.
Round numbers, that's fine.
Well, it's
Just a total round dollar.
yeah, at build out with the projects that we're talking about, the annual revenue is going to be about 3 million a year. And that 3 million a year will then be distributed. If you want to look at it that way, I look at it a little bit different because there's levy limits involved and such.
Right.
If you want to look at it at about 3 million a year, about $1 million is the schools. Washington County about 335. The village is about $1 million. I'm sorry, the schools are about $1.5 million, and MATC is about 168,000. That is on section 16 of the project plan. There is a breakout by taxing jurisdiction of that $3 million annual build out, and it gives you an idea of what that would be for each taxing body.
Could you repeat the
Sure.
just the Germantown? I got the other
The
one.
village is about $1 million, $1.5 million for the schools, 335 for
1,500,000,
Washington
okay.
County, and about 150 to 160,000 for MATC.
Okay. Great.
Okay, further questions? Is there a motion? Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the project plan amendments for TID number 7 and TID number 8. Let me see here. Let me rephrase that. Make a motion to, let me see here, project plan. Make a motion to approve the amendments to project plans for TID number 7 and for TID number 8, and action on approving the amendment to the project, to both project plans.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Motion by Rick Miller, second by Bob Warren. Any further discussion on the motion?
I think the motion you meant to make was a motion to approve the 2 resolutions amending the project plans for each TID 7 and TID 8.
I struggled with that.
Okay,
Yes, that is the motion I would like to make.
we have a corrected motion. Is that okay with the second?
That's fine with the second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Trustee Jan Miller.
So the work that would be, the projects that would be completed within TID 7 and TID 8 have a radius around those TIDs of a half mile, correct? So in effect, if 2 years down the road, somebody had a great idea for another project within the half mile radius, could they just do it?
You have to go through all these steps.
Okay.
Joint Review Board, Plan Commission, Village Board, has to be evaluated, all these approvals have to happen. If somebody wants to change anything again. So there are a lot of checks and balances.
Right. And then another question, have we heard anything from the railroad people about access to?
Not privy to this work. Can't talk about that.
Okay. Sorry. Two of the things that in the article that I distributed to my fellow trustees was limit the use of borrowing and be conservative on TIF deals. And this is $7 million. We have an opportunity to add to our tax base in perhaps 2028, which I think we really, really need to do a lot of things that we just need to do. We're always borrowing. And I would like to see the tax money for the, not only Germantown, but the school district in Washington County and MATC come back in 2028. I'd like to really see that because that's been the incentive and that's been the talk. Let's close early and get some tax dollars. Therefore, when I looked at this information and considered it in good conscience, I can't support this. Thank you.
President Walter has his hand up. Walter.
I think that, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think that if the way these projects have to occur and how some of the improvements are a benefit not only to the water service, but also to the roads that surround this area, the success of this TID allows this borrowing to occur to help pay for these projects. Any vote against this is a vote to put it back on the backs of the residents and part of the general fund. Right now, it gets paid off by the people that are within the TIF, the businesses that are within the TIF, and the increment that they pay to cover the TIF's borrowing. If you do not approve this, you're going to have these projects done and you're going to get it out of the general fund and you put it on the backs of the residents. So any vote against this is a vote to put this into the general fund and have the residents of Germantown pay for these improvements.
Thank you, President Walter. Further discussion? Seeing none. Last call.
Thank you, President Walter. I didn't see any of these projects that needed to be done immediately, especially the Rockfield Road.
Oh my God.
I know it needs to be completed, but it doesn't need to be done this year or next year. So, and High Point Pass, I don't see it. And I would like to get some money back for the taxpayers. So that is my reason. Thank you.
Trustee Jolene People.
When is the last time you actually drove on Rockfield Road? That road is deteriorating, falling apart, and there's a school on that road. Imagine how bumpy that is for the kids every single day there and back. Driving on that road is a complete nightmare. It absolutely needs to be done, probably worse than any other road in our village.
Further? Further discussion? Excuse me. Hey. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Everybody understand what the motion is?
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Nyrather.
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller.
No.
Trustee Hudson.
No.
Trustee Pieper.
No.
Trustee Rick Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky. Trustee Baum.
Aye.
President Walter.
Aye.
That would be 6-3. Motion carries. Brings us to item B, Crew Car Wash Agent for Nomies Investment LLC, property owner of North 96 West 17500 County Line Road, conditional use permit. Application for construction and operation of a 4,500 square foot car wash.
Motion to approve new business item B.
Second.
Discussion?
Got a motion by Pieper, seconded was Hudson. Discussion, trustee Pieper.
Going through the packet, I just want to say I'm really impressed with the abundance of due diligence and information that was provided for this car wash. I think that this will be a great transition from the current rundown gas station that is there now.
Further discussion? No further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was a in favor from President Walter. Yes. I jumped in. So, motion carries unanimously. Brings us to item C, borrowing authorization resolution for 2024 capital projects. Bill, please.
Thank you. I'm back. All right, so we've been working with village staff on putting together the capital financing for the projects that were part of your 2024 budget. If you recall, back in 22, when there was a series of capital borrowings that were done, there was a commitment that there would be no capital borrowing in 23. There was no capital borrowing in 23. That takes us into the 2024. And if you recall, in 23, what was done was there was a use of fund balance to pay for capital projects in 23. So in 2024 for capital projects, we got a list from village staff. The amount of the projects was $3,137,000. That include all the items that were again in your capital plan and your budget, including data processing, building and grounds, police department, fire, highway, recreation, and parks. All are part of that, this financing. This $3,215,000 general obligation promissory note would be handled like your other general capital borrowings have been. So a 10-year note, which is a pretty rapid payback. And we would also be going through the process of a rating, as we have always had to do when we've gone through and issued debt for the village. So I have a pre-sale report and a resolution. The resolution came from Tom Griggs Law Office. That's in your packet. And then the pre-sale report we put together, which kind of outlines this financing. And a couple items I'd like to highlight in the pre-sale report. One, this will be a parameters resolution, which is similar to what we've done before. Meaning, if it's approved tonight with the parameters that are identified, then what we will do on sale day is get essentially a certificate that gets signed by city staff or village staff that says we met all the parameters of the sale. All the rest of the information will come to you in your regular board packet as far as the bids, who the winning bidder was, what the final interest rate was, etc. My expectation for a 10-year note would be in the range 3.25%, 3.5% at this point. And as you spend down money right now, once you receive those funds, you could probably earn, looking at Matthew, 5%-ish, a little over 5%. So as you spend down the money, you can earn some positive arbitrage on the investments. Unusual to have that situation. It's kind of a unique situation that we're in right now. So the timing behind that is if you give us authorization tonight to proceed with this, we will prepare what's called an official statement, which is like a prospectus on the village. That'll be sent to the rating agencies, and we'll have a conference call with the rating agency last week of April, first week in May. We will have the official award for the sale of the notes on May 15th. The funds would be wired to the village planning for June 5th. At that point, you'd have funds available for the projects that have been outlined, again, in your budget. In the pre-sale report, one of the things that we have worked very diligently with the village is to make sure that we structure debt so that we minimize the impact on the debt service levy. And so in your packet, if you have it available to you, you'll see on the third from last page, we go through what we call a tax, or we go through a debt service calculation to determine essentially what the debt service is going to be year in and year out, starting from where you were in 23, 24, and then project going forward. And just because my eyesight is bad, I'm looking this up. So in 2024, your debt service levy was $1.34 per thousand. In 2025, with this issue included, you'll be at $1.35 per thousand. So a penny per thousand increase. And then in 26, even with this debt, it drops down to about $1.11, and it really drops off. Theory behind that, again, is that you have the ability to take future projects to be able to take those on, which is precisely why you've taken the conservative approach of paying this debt off quickly to provide that flexibility in the future for future capital projects. So we've gone through that analysis, working with village staff, kind of a long-range plan with that debt service levy in mind to make sure that we don't have spikes and then kind of dropping, creating some kind of challenges in your budget, but keep that number relatively flat going forward. This will take you to about 40% of your borrowing capacity. You remember in 22, there was a series of projects, large ones, DPW building that were taken out that raised your debt profile at that point, didn't lead to any downgrade at the rating agency. We'll have that conversation again. I think it's a little more manageable going forward, but I think we can manage the rating going forward just with the level of anticipated borrowing going over the next number of years. So this gives us, again, authorization to proceed with the financing, and then you'll receive the actual final results, again, winning bidder, interest rates, et cetera, at your May meeting.
Very good. Thank you. Board, any questions? I'll start with Trustee Pieper.
This probably isn't a question for you, but more for Steve. I'm looking at this spreadsheet of all of the departments and updates that they need. Help me out here. The burn tower for 115,000. What exactly is that?
That was a project that was approved in the 2024 capital budget. It's the, if you picture Firehouse 1, or I'm sorry, Fire Station 2 over in the business park, and kind of behind it, there's a tower there that they use for training exercises. The tower is starting to degrade. And there are safety issues with it, with the floors, as you can imagine, with the type of training they do in it. It's hard on the building.
It's
Yes.
training, going up and downstairs
Yep.
with, okay,
Yep.
so that's needed.
Floor is rusting out.
Okay, I get it. I would just didn't know if it was like a watchtower, what. And then one other thing, it says 2024 patrol truck purchase. So why is that under highway and not police? What's the difference between a patrol truck and,
It's a plow.
oh, it's a plow truck?
Yeah, they call them,
my
they
goodness,
refer to them as
okay.
patrol trucks, but it's a plow.
Those are my only questions.
Okay. Further questions? Trustee Jan Miller.
We had a question in GGF about the Maple Lannon $500,000. When it first came up, it was about 250. So we're questioning, or what was it, Rick, about?
88,000.
Oh, yeah, 88. What am I saying? Yeah, it was 88, now it's $500,000. So that was a little, that's really not questionable. And then it was explained that the ambulance replacement, the $60,000 is more of a down payment because that's not what it would cost. And it doesn't come in till for 2 years. The paving program is 1.5 million. And don't we get approximately 1.2 million from the state for roads, et cetera?
Okay,
Steve?
I'm gonna start with trustee Kaminsky.
Wait, go ahead, let him answer.
Just the quick answer to the last part of that question.
Yeah.
Is we do receive state aids, but that goes into the general fund, the operating budget. So it supports like snow
Everything.
plowing and that type of thing. It is not part of the capital budget.
Okay.
Trustee Kaminsky, you wanted to respond to something?
Yeah, no, I wanted to elaborate on what trustee Jan Miller, during GGF, I brought up the fact that there's $500,000 in the borrowing budget here, and I don't like it, but there's nothing we can really do about it yet. That is for the Maple Lannon Road intersection that needs work. And the state surprised us by increasing that amount of money extremely. I mean, way beyond anything, totally took everybody by surprise. And my question at Public Works Committee, as well as at GGF, was I'd like to see us approach the state via our village attorney and our village manager and talk to them about, first of all, why that happened. And is there a way we can pull the plug on that? Because we had no warning at all. People can't budget for that type of thing without a warning. It's not in our budget. And then secondarily, hopefully we can get out of that. Secondarily, we would instead try to, if we can't, try to put that over maybe a payment plan of 2 or 3 years, like we did with Donjas Bay Road Engineering, if you recall that from years ago. So anyway, that part of this is the only part of this capital budget that bothers me. But then Mr. Krecklow came up with the thought that we should go ahead and borrow as though it were happening, because we can transfer that money and pay for the entire ambulance this year if we need to. And that satisfied my my concern with that one item. So I'm totally comfortable with what we have in the capital budget at this point.
Trustee Bob Warren.
Just 2 quick questions. I know the answer to this. The 3 squad cars are not because of the successful referendum. It's just part of our attrition, right? Cycling through.
Typically, our typical cycle has been to purchase 2. We did purchase 3, and it was a combination of both anticipation of the 4 officers that were added in the budget in 2024, and then the 4 officers in the referendum. So we had been replacing 2. We would have needed 3 anyways this year, but it will help with the additional officers we're hiring.
Well, just wanted to verify, because at the public information meetings for that referendum, the police chief said that no additional equipment would need to be purchased. So, I mean,
We already put it in the budget.
pardon me,
We already put it in the budget. That's why it wouldn't be additional because it was already passed. Or
that's not what I'm hearing. Two were the normal cycle.
Just to clarify, I mean, we had in the past done two, but I think the police chief did make the argument during the budget process that he did need three regardless of the results of the referendum.
Right, that's what I wanted to hear. And then I share the same sentiment that I think that this whole board does with this intersection, the additional costs for that. I would like to have DOT come here and explain this to us face to face. I mean, I can understand some increases, but this is ridiculous. And I want them to understand the pain that we go with this budgeting process to absorb such a hit. So I'd like to follow up with Matt at some point here to see if maybe Public Works, Terry, we could have a DOT representative come here and explain what's going on, and then we could, or the whole board, and we could talk about this payment plan, I guess, also at that time. Thank you.
Further comments? We have a motion. We have a second. That's what I was asking.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the issuance of sale of promissory notes, general obligation promissory notes not to exceed $3,215,000.
A second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Now that we have a motion. No. Nothing.
Double check, but nope.
Okay, seeing no discussion, all in we gotta do a roll call vote because it's funny, so roll call.
Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Nyrather.
Aye.
Trustee Jan Miller.
No.
Trustee Hudson.
Aye.
Trustee Pieper.
No.
Trustee Rick Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Kaminsky.
Aye.
Trustee Baum.
Aye.
President Walter.
Aye.
Motion carries, was it 6-3?
7-2.
7-2.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. All right, that takes us to item D, which is Country Bell driveway adjustment cost sharing with residents. Somebody heading this up or?
I'll let the Public Works Director provide some information.
Okay,
I have a question.
before he does his presentation?
Yes.
Okay, Trustee Kaminsky first.
We received some emails today from the gentleman that would like his driveway paved for 100% of the cost. And he wanted to table this to look at everything all together, including the depth of the ditches. My position on that is the depth of the ditches is not on the agenda, and B is an entirely separate issue than the driveway issue. And I do believe we should cover the driveway tonight and not drag this on for another 6 months. This has been going on since September, and we need to make a decision for this gentleman, whatever that may be.
Trustee Hudson.
I also received the email, and I would just like to say conversely, the people who this impacts are asking that it would be tabled. And in deference to them, I would support that.
Okay. Trustee Pieper.
I agree with the resident. I would like it tabled as well because I would actually like to take a look at it. There's no pictures, there's anything attached, there's really no information whatsoever in the agenda that I could really gather, enough information to make a logical decision on this. I am going to make a motion to table. Postpone.
Postpone till.
Oh, you made a motion? Oh, no.
I have not made, no.
I'd say next village board meeting, if you guys all agree that that's enough time to get really more information on this, some pictures, some backstory, what it looked like before, what it looks like now, what is the cost?
Looking to the village engineer to see if we can get stuff in that one.
So it's just a matter.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
We know.
Who's we? Okay, I was gonna say, I didn't know anything about this. Okay.
Us are coming in blind.
It's been going around since September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get a
But
second?
the whole village board should be aware of all of this stuff and it wasn't put in the agenda. So I make a motion to postpone till next village board meeting.
Okay, I have a motion.
I think 2 weeks is completely reasonable and I'll second that.
I have a second.
Discussion.
Further discussion. Thank you, Dean. Try and chime in.
Yeah, he was saying he wants to postpone it or table it.
President Walter.
Question is, based on the email that we all received today, they were asking for a reassessment of full engineering of the road and all that other stuff. So basically, we're just looking for more information from the Department of Public Works, and this is not a requirement to go back through committee, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'd like it to
Okay.
come back to the village board. It seems like several trustees on the board already have the information for it. And I guess I'm lacking because there was nothing really in the packet. And
Chair, Trustee Kaminsky, this did go through Public Works, correct?
Yes, it did. And it was a 2-2 vote. Came to village board.
Okay. Okay.
The one thing
All
I
right.
just wanted to check with the Public Works Director. I don't think this is an issue, but I think 2 weeks or May 6th is the next meeting, so a little bit more than 2 weeks is something we can work with. But we do have the replacement of the driveways is included in the paving contracts. And the paving
50%
contracts
or 100?
have been approved and executed. And I don't know exactly when work is scheduled or when we need to let the contractors know one way or another. But I'm assuming that we are proceeding with the replacement of those 6 driveways and we're just working out the cost share. Is that?
Yes. May I?
Yes, I'll go to trustee.
Just to elaborate and to respond to our village manager. That is true. This is just for the cost share of the driveways. My concern with the emails we received today is they are mixing the driveways with the ditch, Bob, and they will never be mixed because there is no money in the budget for the ditching this year. So there's going to be driveways this year. We have got to get this approved very quickly, or there will be no driveways repaired at all until 2025.
Trustee Warren first, then I'll come to.
I met with the property owners. I met with village staff on this thing. In my opinion, I think we should just focus on the driveways at this time. We've got so much history on it right now. We're ready to make a vote. The side slope issue is a different issue. And village staff needs to go out there and verify that these side slopes exceed, what is standard, what is safe in that. I would just like to get this thing voted on, move forward. Those who needed the information got the information. Public Works Public Works Committee vetted this whole process. I mean, we tied on that, but everybody's got their opinion on what the cost share should be. So,
We don't
I
have
don't,
good information.
I don't recommend that we tie this together. So I think we should vote on this today and move this forward. I think the property owners, one way or another, would like this to be moved forward. And we'll look at the side slope issue after that.
Gonna go to Peeper first.
Okay. Are the residents here tonight with the driveways? How many of them? 2? Okay. I'm going to ask the board, what is 50%? It just says approval of 50% of the cost. What is the cost?
I can answer the question. We've estimated, based on the results of the bid that came in for the road program, that on average, the residents at 50% would pay about $3,000. The total cost of one driveway would be about $6,000. So village costs $3,000, resident costs about $3,000.
Would you guys be opposed to sending this to the next village board meeting so I can actually see what is going on and see what it looked like? Because right now, it seems like the village messed up and they should pay 100% of it, and I need more information. Perfect, thank you. He did it.
He did it. Okay, trustee.
But
Kaminsky.
you're okay with us, like sending this to next? Okay. Gotcha.
I can't hear that.
Gotta come up, gotta come to the podium.
Speak. Are we?
Yeah. Like, this is the information that I'm talking about that I need. Like, I
So my name is Adam Dempsey. I was just saying that myself and my neighbors are fine putting it off so that we can solve the issue correctly. I'm in no rush. I understand that you're in a rush because you might have budgeted for it this year, but I want to get it right. And if the road was built too high, such that it violates the side slope DOT standard and is too steep, that's not a separate issue from the driveways because the road was engineered too high such that you had to take my driveway. So if you would have engineered it correctly, and I'm not saying that it's incorrect, but if you find out that the side slope is too high, that means the road is too high, which means you took my driveway and you didn't need to. So they are not separate issues. They are connected from the engineering of the road.
okay. I think that's
Measure
exactly
the
what.
side slope,
Yeah.
and that might help you assess whether you should pay for 100% of it or not.
Thank you. Do you want to say something in response? Or are you?
I mean, the only thing I would say is if the committee is entertaining the thought of replacing a section of the road, then I would agree. But if the committee is not looking at replacing a section of the road, then they can be dealt with individually.
Good.
But there's obviously substantial cost with replacing a section of the road versus driveways.
What do you mean by a section of the road?
Well, in order to lower the slope, if we go down that road, then you'd probably have to lower the profile of the road or grade out further into the.
Grade out is what we were talking about.
Yep.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Really quick, just one quick question. Who was the company that did this?
Payne and Dolan.
Huh?
Payne and Dolan.
Yeah, there's this is a 15-year history that kind of got us to this point.
Gotcha. But I need more backstory on it. I don't have enough information to vote on this tonight.
Okay, President Walter, you got your hand up.
Yeah, but quick question. How much of the road was taken? Was it within our right of way or was it up into the private property of each of the residents?
No, as well within the right of way.
Within the right of way.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Further discussion? Trustee Warren.
Let's remember that we're getting good prices on this because we can peg it onto the roadway project. Contractors are in the community. They're doing that type of work on other projects. So don't expect to see $6,000 per approach after our road project is done this year.
Okay. Trustee Jan Miller.
The residents said they've waited this long. They just want it done right. Let's look at it holistically.
All right. We have a motion. We have a second. Postpone. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
I am in favor of it. So it's 5-4 in favor of postponing until next meeting.
Perfect.
Okay. That concludes that item, which then brings us to. Bring us to.
Adjournment.
I can't get there on my computer, so we can't adjourn.
Any
Says
announcements?
me, and I'm the presiding officer now. You guys voted me in, so. All right, that brings us to item 12, which is adjournment. Any announcements? Next meeting would be the May 6th at 7 o'clock. Thank you all coming. Thank you for your comments. Meeting is adjourned.